The left doesn't like democracy. I know the United States is a constitutional republic, but you know what I mean. They don't like the ability of citizens to elect people or politicians they like under the rule of law. They oppose it. One of the more frustrating things we've been having in recent weeks is that we're having to go to court and sue to get documents about Biden scandals from the Trump administration because they don't want to give us the documents. I talked about how we sued USAID during the Biden administration because we wanted details of grants they were given to Gaza. We were suspicious, based on public reports, that the money was going to terrorists. And they don't want to tell us who they were giving the money to. At least Biden didn't want to. And then just a few weeks ago, we were in court, and there's a Justice Department attorney, an attorney for the USAID, so they're basically representing the State Department, and they don't want to give us the names either. So the cover-up continues. And now we have this new issue of State Department grants to support the leftist opposition to conservative Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Now, Prime Minister Orban is hated by the transnational left. The Obama-Biden gang hated his guts. The left-wing media hate his guts because he's a traditionalist conservative. He's kind of like Trump in many respects. And my colleagues have traveled to Hungary often because Hungary's been in the center of the opposition to the left-wing contempt for civil liberties, sovereignty, and other Western values. And Hungary's been kind of trying to stand strong in that regard, and Orban has been under sustained attack by the transnational left. And on his way out, Biden gave a bunch of money to Hungary's opposition against Orban. And we just had to sue to get information about how that happened. According to media reports, on the final day of the Biden administration, the U.S. Embassy in Budapest, Hungary, awarded grants worth millions of Hungarian forints to various Hungarian media outlets and educational organizations aligned with the opponents of Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, an ally of incoming U.S. President Donald Trump. Furthermore, recipients of the grants included several well-known anti-government media outlets aligned with the Hungarian opposition but posing as independent press. Among the grantees, 444 received more than $20,000 U.S. dollars, and then there were grants of around $25,000, $18,000. So a lot of money was spread around. And a lot of these organizations, or at least one of them, was part of the Soros-funded network. So Soros has a big footprint in a lot of countries in Europe, and he doesn't need to spend a lot of money to have a big footprint. And it's just he supports these groups that supposedly are part of so-called civil society, but they just advance socialist and left-wing agendas to the detriment, I think, of U.S. foreign policy and Western values. The Biden State Department, on Joe's last day in office, apparently sent a cash infusion to Hungary's left-wing anti-Orban opposition organizations. Let's hope the new State Department stops the cover-up and produces records on this meddling. Now, we already sued, as I said, USAID for records on not only Gaza, but we just earlier this year sued for records on USAID funding material in Ukraine, because there have been complaints about some of the Ukraine money that had been spent by USAID in terms of waste, fraud, and abuse, and we can't get anything out of them, so we had to sue. And of course, previously we uncovered how top Soros operators and funded groups were getting money in places like Romania and Macedonia. So USAID not only funded Soros-aligned groups, but also worked with, we found in our investigations, Soros directly in terms of relying on Soros operators to help direct funding. So this is the type of work that's essential if we're going to uncover the extent and scope of the swamp. I mean, here we have the Biden administration trying to rig or meddle in the affairs of another country, not because it's in the U.S. interest, it's because they don't like the guy politically. I mean, the left doesn't like democracy. I know the United States is a constitutional republic, but you know what I mean. They don't like the ability of citizens to elect people or politicians they like under the rule of law. They oppose it. I mean, I'm convinced here in the United States, the left doesn't want to just steal elections, they want to end elections. Look at what just happened in France with Macron's opposition, Ms. Le Pen, who was just convicted by their, what I consider to be the French equivalent of the judicial deep state there. And she essentially was knocked off the ballot, following the lead of the Obama-Biden gang, which was really targeting Trump. Similarly, French leftists moved to jail the leading opponent to Emmanuel Macron and ban her from running against him in the next election. I mean, she was facing not only a ban from the campaign, but she was also facing 4 years in jail. Now, the last I saw, they were talking about the court had stayed the ruling. I think that's what happened. So maybe the outrage of the politicization of the judicial system in France, the international outrage of what they were doing, pushed them back. But there was an issue in Romania, again, where the leftists essentially scuttled an election. In Brazil, the former opponent of the leader, the communist, socialist, Marxist leader of Brazil, he's being prosecuted. It's not just Trump. The transnational left is trying to end their opposition all over the world. And it's through litigation like Judicial Watches that we're trying to get some insight into what's happening and how it went on. And the reason they are so successful at the transnational level is because they got your tax dollars to help them. And this is why we're suing, to find out what they're doing in Hungary. I mean, the same people who hate us here in the United States are operating in Hungary. And a lot of them are doing them in league with U.S. citizens or U.S. State Department, the embassy. It's really awful. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.